The sound started every night, exactly when the city finally became quiet. They were not normal sounds, they were slow, irregular footsteps from the apartment directly above mine. I never saw the person, and I never heard them during the day. This simple, repeating noise became the only clue in a mystery that felt more like a ghost story. I moved to the city for a fresh start, but I was about to discover that some secrets stay hidden even when they walk right above your head. My move to the city had been a big change. I had found a small, old apartment building in a quiet neighborhood. My new apartment was comfortable and the rent was reasonable. I was unpacking my final boxes and was feeling very optimistic about the future. The first few days were peaceful. The building was old, so I could hear the typical noises: a door closing, a TV playing quietly, or a person taking the stairs. I met the superintendent, Mr. Johnson, who was a very serious man. He told me that the building was mostly quiet. He mentioned that if I had any problems with noise, I should call him immediately. I started my new routine quickly. I would work during the day, and in the evening, I would try to relax. The only apartment I had not seen was the one directly above mine. I had tried to meet the tenant, but no one ever answered the door. I was told that the person kept to themselves. The first strange thing I noticed was the incredible silence during the whole daytime. The person upstairs must have been working very long shifts because I never heard any sound at all during the day. It was an unnatural quietness. I kept thinking that if I was in an apartment, I would at least drop a fork or play some music, but there was nothing. About a week after I had settled in, the strange routine began. It was exactly when the middle of the night had arrived. I had finished reading and was trying to fall asleep. The steps began in one corner of the apartment and walked straight across to the other side. They would stop for a short period, and then the walking would start again. This was repeated for a couple of hours. The pattern was always the same. If the person was ill or was exercising, the pattern would change, but this never happened. I was annoyed at first, but soon I became totally absorbed. I started to write down the pattern in a small notebook, feeling like a detective. I was trying to figure out what the person was doing. I tried to meet the person again. I climbed the stairs and knocked on the door in the early evening when I thought they might be home. No one answered. I left a friendly note explaining that I had heard some noises late at night and wanted to say hello. The next day, the note was gone, but no one had replied. I knew I must find out who this person was. My curiosity grew into an obsession. I had not been sleeping well for many days because I was waiting for the nightly footsteps. I decided I needed a break from my own apartment. I went to the local cafe and started talking to the people there, hoping someone knew the residents of the building. I met an older woman who had lived in the neighborhood for many decades. She told me that the tenant in the upstairs apartment had lived there for a very long time, but she had never seen them. She said that the person paid the rent directly through a bank and never used the communal laundry room or the front porch. She said that if the person had not wanted to be seen, they must have been very careful. I returned to the building and searched the hallways near the stairs. I noticed something I had not seen before: a very faint, almost invisible scratch mark near the door of the upstairs apartment. It looked like something heavy was dragged in and out. The scratch led not towards the main stairs, but towards a small wooden service door at the back of the hallway. This door was always locked. I knew I had to talk to Mr. Johnson. I told him that I was worried about the person upstairs because of the strange schedule and the intense quietness. Mr. Johnson looked nervous. He told me that if I continued to worry, I should focus on my own life. He said that the tenant was taken care of. His avoidance only made me more certain that something was deeply wrong or strange. The next day, I found Mr. Johnson in the basement. He was carrying a heavy box. I asked him directly about the service door. He looked tired and finally agreed to tell me the truth. He explained that the tenant upstairs was indeed a real person, but they had suffered a severe accident some years ago and could not leave the apartment during the day. The person was an artist who was extremely sensitive to light and noise. The rhythmic walking I had heard was the person moving their large, heavy equipment, a special easel and camera setup to take photographs of the city when it was completely dark and quiet. The service door was used only by Mr. Johnson, who brought food and supplies every morning when the person was sleeping after their long work shift. The person had paid Mr. Johnson extra so that they would never have to see a neighbor. The scratch marks were made by the heavy easel legs. I felt a strange mix of relief and profound embarrassment. I had been imagining a ghost or a criminal, but the truth was much simpler and sadder. A person was living a secret, disciplined life because of a physical limitation. I realized I had judged their quietness as suspicion when it was just their way of surviving. I knew I would not complain about the footsteps again. When I listened to them that night, they were not the sounds of a mystery, but the sounds of a dedicated artist working alone in the deepest quiet. The mystery was solved, and the truth had taught me a lesson about the secret lives people must live behind closed doors. What is the strangest routine you have ever observed? Would you have kept searching for the truth? Let me know in the comments. If you want to hear more real life adventures and practice your English, please remember to subscribe to our podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Bye for now.